The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
And thank you for attending today's presentation, Prioritizing Financial Wellness, Productivity, and On-Demand Pay. My name is Kito Delgado. I am the Business Sales Manager here at GTM Payroll Services. And in a moment, I'll be joined by Shea Martin and Martina Manley of ZayZoon. But a few notes of housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions, please use the chat functionality in the webinar console to submit your questions. We'll do our best to get to your questions and answer them by the end of the presentation. If we fail to get to them due to time constraints, I will be sure to follow up with you within the next day via email. Keep in mind, you'll also receive an email this afternoon with a link to today's slides, as well as a video recording of the presentation. Now, many of you are clients of GTM already, but for those of you who are not familiar with GTM, we've been in business for more than 30 years and offer a leading edge human capital management solution in iSolve, as well as expert human resource consulting services. Our HCM solution integrates business functions into a single source and automates HR procedures from hiring through retiring to increase data accuracy, simplify your operations, and escalate your productivity. On the consulting side, our HR professionals understand how to develop HR strategies that align with your business goals, bringing value to your company by finding ways to lower costs and streamline processes. Some of the areas we can help you with include on-site HR support, leave management, HR project work, talent acquisition, training and coaching, organizational development, and HR audits. Additionally, we also can provide you with assistance with culture reviews, compensation analysis, and DISC training. Now today, I'm joined by Shea Martin, Partner Growth Manager at ZayZoon. Shea's passion for financial wellness and providing educational tools has helped frame her role in providing top-tier support for partners and their clients. As an advocate for driving efficiency and supporting employees with robust offerings, she has helped thousands of businesses streamline their payroll and HR processes. As a seasoned manager in the payroll industry for over a decade, Shea's tenure at one of the largest payroll companies has equipped her to understand the tools required and support measures needed to build mutually successful relationships. We're also joined today by Martina Manley. Martina seeks to deliver continuous value to ZayZoon partners and their clients in her role as channel manager. Martina's commitment to providing superior customer service and desire to positively impact clients and employees through financial wellness programs are some of the core values that have ensured her clients thrive. Martina's vast experience in payroll stems from her many years at ADP. We won't hold that against her. Driving growth for small, medium businesses she supported. And while at ADP, she led to her, her work at ADP. I can't even say ADP. It doesn't even flow off my tongue right. But her work at ADP led her to a passion for empowering businesses through payroll programs that add value and uplift the employee experience. Martina prides herself in her dedication to helping partners in understanding the benefits of providing wellness and educational tools to their programs. So we're super excited to have Martina and Shea with us today for this really timely presentation. But you've heard enough from me. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Shea and Martina.
Yeah, thank you, Kito. Thanks for that introduction. And I won't say the other big payroll company that I worked for, but my 10 years in payroll has really equipped me and has helped me see what businesses are, what challenges they're facing. And that's one of the reasons that I went into earned wage access. So I'm really excited to talk with your clients today about earned wage access. You know, really, there's so many issues right now that are affecting businesses, that are affecting the workplace, but I'm really here to talk specifically on financial stress and how earned wage access is able to help you as a business owner or an HR manager, help you prioritize financial wellness for your employees. There's so many factors impacting businesses today. You've all heard the buzzwords, the post-pandemic workplace, the great resignation, quiet quitting, dry firing, self-care in the workplace. But you know, what does that mean for you as a business? You know, I think it's important for us as business owners, or for you as business owners, to really dig into these different scenarios, these different buzzwords that are going around, and dissect how it's impacting your business, how it's impacting our employees, and what do we do to help mitigate some of that fallout. With inflation, the cost of living, outstanding debt from the pandemic, or student loans, these are all things that are impacting employees today and their financial wellness. And because of that, both employees and employers, or businesses alike, are faced with difficult strains. And for businesses specifically, difficulty in recruitment, retention, and providing a positive culture and a positive workplace are really the things that are affected the most by these by financial stressors. So as a direct result of this, the priorities of employees in the last couple of years has really shifted to focus on increased support from their employers. Employees are asking themselves right now, does my employer support my financial situation? Am I getting financial wellness and financial support from my employer? Financial wellness related benefits are the #1 benefit or in-demand employee program today. Last year it was #3, this year it's now #1. Next slide, please. The impact of financial stress on your employees is really costly to your business. Stressed employees leads to lost productivity, that leads to loss in money, and on top of that, stressed employees leads to unhappy employees. And as leaders, we care about the people that we work with, and we want them to have the tools, and we want to be able to provide the tools necessary for your employees to feel success and to feel autonomy in the workplace. Next slide, please. So I want to go over, a couple of statistics with you on the next couple of slides, but I do want to highlight that, in polls that we take as a financial wellness or earned wage access industry, what we found out is 68% of employees feel that financial issues affect their health, whether it be their mental health or their actual physical health. And as an employer, you kind of have to think about the ripple effects that this could place on your business, including the inability to focus at work, spending time dealing with creditors, dealing with how am I going to pay this bill, bank phone calls, trying to find loans. These are impacts that directly affect you as a HR leader or a business owner, and directly associate to loss in productivity and loss in attendance in the workplace. Now, these are all important factors. There's also an importance that should be placed on you as an employer in caring for your employees and their well-being, and wanting them to have the resources available and the autonomy to make decisions on their own financial situation in the event that they get in the bind. Next slide, please. So for some of you, a couple of these statistics that I'm going to go over, they may or may not shock you, but 70% of employees report that they are stressed about their finances. This does cause a decline in mental and physical health in employees, as well as reduction of productivity on the job. When millions of people are having to tap into savings or rely on credit cards or payday loans to make ends meet, this just continues the vicious cycle of debt and weighs heavily on the amount of stress an employee has to deal with. Next slide, please. As an employee, as an employee myself, I'm a firm believer that you should never have to decide between putting food on your table or paying a bill. Yet more than 80 million Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. what happens when an unexpected emergency comes up and your car suddenly breaks down, or you receive an unexpected bill that you couldn't account for that month? Where do you go to find the resources to get you through in between pay periods? In fact, 87% of employers can't or won't give cash advances. The risk is too high, the overhead, the keeping track, all of that is too much of a liability for a business owner. So for whatever reason, only 13% of businesses allow cash advances to their employees. So, in the interim, what can an employer do to help employees have access to the wages that they've already earned? That's where we come in, and the earned wage access solution really does put your employee in a better position to have autonomy and tools over their financial outcome in the middle of the month. So we are one of the options available to employees that employers need to add to their toolkit or their product offering or their benefit offering to their employee base. Next slide, please. These statistics here are from the 2022 PwC Employee Financial Wellness Survey and represent both how financial struggles affect your employee and your business. There's also a direct correlation between financially stressed employees and employer retention or employee retention for an employer. Financially stressed employees are twice as likely to look elsewhere for a job because now we're in an environment again where employees are asking themselves, does my employer put me in a better financial situation? Does my employer care about my financial health and my financial wellness? Next slide, please. I just want to talk quickly. I know you guys all know the options that are available to employees, but I really want to stress right now, if you're not offering an earned wage access or on-demand pay solution, what options your employees have when they're in a bind in between pay periods. So like I said, excuse me, 87% of businesses do not offer cash advances. So that leaves us with only 13% of businesses that offer in-house payday advances. And only 1.3% of employees take advantage of that option, either out of embarrassment, not wanting to ask their employer, or not even knowing that it's a solution, because a lot of employers that do offer it don't advertise it. Other options can leave them in a state of perpetual borrowing. We all know how payday loans work. Your employee takes out a payday loan, and the average cost of a payday loan is anywhere from $15 to $30 for every $100 borrowed. And that equates to a rate of almost 400% a week for 400% for a 2-week loan. So, essentially the employee takes out a payday loan and then they can never catch up because of the fees that it costs to take out a payday loan. And some of the other, when we ask our clients, what other options they used before an earned wage access solution, a lot of them said they just didn't pay the bill, resulting in late fees, or they let their bank account go in the negative, which again is average fee of about $35 in US banks. And then another option, borrowing from friends or family. But that doesn't really put the employee in a better situation, and it doesn't give them financial autonomy. So from there, next slide, I'm going to turn it over to Martina. I call her Marty. Marty's going to take you through, what ZayZoon is and what we do. And thank you.
Great. Thank you so much there, Shea. Appreciate it. So yeah, how exactly is this impacting your business? Many businesses are constantly experiencing difficulty recruiting and retaining workers. And while this is an ongoing issue, that on-demand pay helps solve, it also positively impacts the productivity of your workers by relieving some of the burden being placed on them when it comes to their finances. So these stats here are from a 2022 Wellness Barometer Survey from BrightPlan, but I think the numbers clearly speak for themselves. 11.4 hours of productivity lost each week. That's just over 2 hours a day, which equates to $4 billion in lost productivity for businesses. That's huge. And nearly 70% of employees actually feel their finances affect their health. You know, I always use this example because it has happened to me, but, you know, I'm sure everyone has been in a situation where they have had an unexpected event occurred that completely distracts you from work. You know, my situation, I had my fridge break down. I know it's something kind of funny, but, you know, something as simple as that, you know, you're now wanting to search for ads to try and find a new one during work hours, trying to figure out how you're going to pick it up or pay for delivery. There's just a lot going on in your brain, and the last thing you're thinking of is probably work, which is where that productivity numbers that Shea was talking about come into play. You know, according to an article in, oh, sorry, next slide there. And next slide after, yeah, that's perfect, thank you. According to an article in Forbes magazine, SHRM reported that 80% of employers state that financial stress is hurting employee performance, costing a total of $500 billion annually. So for most of your workers, money is still the #1 stressor. You know, as Shea alluded earlier, financial wellness is the #1 thing people are needing assistance on in their lives. So, you know, as they try to focus on work, financial stress has consumed them, using my example from my fridge earlier. Breaking it down further, this anxiety translates to 13 hours of lost productivity per employee. And according to Integrity data, 70% of workers are financially stressed, and 52%, that's a huge number, are unable to cover even a $400 unexpected expense emergency. So think about it. If your employee has that unexpected $400 expense, where do you think they're going to go get the money? They could choose to go to a payday loan, like Shea was mentioning, go into overdraft, pay a bill late, ask a friend or family. All these options just increase debt, and they're just a temporary Band-Aid solution. It doesn't actually help their financial situation. Next slide, please. So how can you stay competitive in the talent market? You know, one simple, very cost-effective way is by offering earned wage access and financial education tools that will give you the edge over your competitors, while also assisting your employees to feel more financially secure and can make those educated decisions. You know, a few years ago, most employers or even employees didn't even know what earned wage access was. Now, 95% are interested in working for an employer that offers EWA or earned wage access. And what's interesting is that 89% are actually willing to work longer for an employer who offers EWA. We find that most employers who offer it also say it helps alleviate scheduling issues, as employees are more willing to pick up shifts if they know they can get paid the same day, which makes sense. Lastly, 79% of employees are actually willing to switch to an employer that offers EWA. This just shows you that has become an expectation that you offer this additional employee benefit. It is not by any means a nice to have. Interestingly enough, a lot of clients I actually speak to day in, day out say one of the reasons why they're interested in having a conversation to learn more about it is their employees were asking them for it. Next slide, please. So what can you do to help? You know, the majority of working Americans experience cash flow shortfalls. You know, all of us probably have at some point in time that can require them to seek out undesirable solutions to help bridge that gap until the next pay date. So ZayZoon's core product, On-Demand Pay, gives employees access to wages that they have already earned. It's by no means a loan, but would have otherwise had to wait until their next payday to receive. When the alternatives are high-cost options, such as, you know, we've said it many times, late bill payments, paying overdraft fees, going to a payday loan companies, financial options like On-Demand Pay are increasingly a critical service to offer for millions of Americans. Next slide, please. So when speaking to clients, one thing I always ask is, what type of employee benefits do you currently offer? And you'd actually be surprised how many haven't really thought about this. Not only does it allow you to attract and retain top talent, keeping you more competitive in the market, but these are benefits employees truly do need, and determine whether they will accept an offer with you when they're evaluating new job opportunities. Next slide, please. So one thing to keep in mind when evaluating on-demand pay programs is you really want to make sure you access some important details to make sure it's the right fit for your business. There are a few things I think you should look at when choosing an EWA provider. One of the most important things is, does this provider encourage responsible usage? Some other things to note are, things such as ease of implementation. For small or medium-sized businesses, implementation of the service should take hours or days. For larger enterprise businesses, as you can imagine, can take a little bit longer depending on the HRIS software they use. What are the benefits for employees? Make sure you do your due diligence and looking at all the benefits or perks available for your employees within that particular program. And how does this affect your cash flow? If you currently offer advances, for example, and now are offloading that responsibility to ZayZoon, how will that impact your business, freeing up that time? Instant access is a huge thing. Most employees, when they are in a cash bind, they need the money now or at least today, not in a few days or in a week. So how quick will your employees have access to their earned wages? And is there flexibility on where the employees can disperse those wages? Will this be available for all employees or say just hourly? Lastly, security. What controls are in place to give you the confidence that employee data is safe? Next slide, please. So ZayZoon's mission is to improve employee financial outcomes with effective and engaging financial products that also create a business advantage for employers. By leveraging ZayZoon's extensive and robust payroll integrated technology, businesses can give their staff access to a program that includes on-demand pay, financial education, and even a prepaid spending card. As mentioned, many workers around the world rely on predatory products such as payday loans and overdraft fees to bridge that gap between pay dates and determined by predetermined pay cycles. ZayZoon aims to essentially break that cycle. So our on-demand access to wages helps reduce the employee financial stress and ultimately improves the workplace retention, resourcing, and productivity. ZayZoon is completely voluntary for your employees. It's completely optional and essentially allows employees to instantly access their earned net wages before pay date. Employees would get access to 50% of their earned wages, and that is net earned wages, as we want to encourage people to use this responsibly and still have money on pay dates. There's flexible pay options, giving your employees autonomy on how they wish to disperse their funds, depending on what they need the money for. With ZayZoon, we give employees 3 different options on where they disperse their earned wages, 2 of which are completely free. Then they can allocate, they can also allocate the funds directly to a personal bank account, or even sign up for a ZayZoon prepaid Visa debit card, essentially a free bank account. Or they can even disperse it to a retail gift card with anywhere from 1 to 30% cash back. All these options are delivered to your employees instantly and are available to access any day of the year. Next slide, please. So a big value prop is we actually don't require time and attendance data. So if you don't have the ability to send us the information, or if it's a pain to do so, we can operate without it. Another point is this is available for everybody. It can be for hourly, salary, even 1099, full-time, part-time. No payroll or prepaid debit card is required to use ZayZoon's on-demand pay, because we just find that diminishes. That is an option, as I mentioned earlier, but it's by no means required. And there's no risk or cost to the employer, since ZayZoon is actually funding the employee. And this is, of course, a huge value add and has been proven to help with recruitment and retention issues, as mentioned earlier. So if you offer advances to your employees, offering EWA can obviously help completely eliminate that admin burden and risk associated to that. Next slide, please. So one other thing too I want to mention is we also have a financial wellness platform, which is completely free, voluntary, and non-monetized, and it's all included right within ZayZoon for your employees. If they wish to enroll their outside accounts, for example, debit, credit, line of credit, there are smart tools that give the employee a quick snapshot of what their expenses are to help them better manage their finances. There's overdraft prediction tools with things such as push notifications. So if it looks like that employee might be going into overdraft based on history and upcoming payments, there would essentially be a push notification saying, hey, you might want to use ZayZoon to avoid going into overdraft. And we also have free financial education content platform where employees can essentially partake in these courses. They can use us, you can even use as an incentive as well, as it spits out a certificate and they get rewarded. A variety of other tools as well, and all free, unbiased content for your employees. Next slide, please. So on average, ZayZoon saves employees around $702 per year That's the real impact of earned wage access. But of course, that's not all. We conduct an annual survey of over 2,000 employees who use ZayZoon to understand the state of employee financial health. And according to this year's survey, 89% of workers who use ZayZoon report less financial stress. Like, that's a win right there. Next slide, please. So when we look at all these industries with high turnover rates, quick service restaurants, retail, restaurant, manufacturing, to name a few, Visa has aggregated data that they provided, and they say by deploying earned wage access, that it will actually decrease their turnover by as much as 29%. And that equates to about $19,000 saved per year for every 200 employees paid. On average, we see about 30% of the workforce access ZayZoon, and this of course varies depending on the industry, but mostly on the engagement and communication that this employee benefit is available for them to use. From several surveys we launched to employees using ZayZoon, 40% used to use payday loans before ZayZoon. That's a pretty big number, and that's a significant amount. And just think about the impact that has on their life in terms of avoiding those high interest rates they would normally pay by using them. Next slide, please. So there are many, many reasons why we choose ZayZoon, and all of these quotes are directly from clients we have signed up. You know, they range from being able to offer employees daily pay, since they're requesting it, to alleviating the admin burden of offering loans in-house, to staying competitive in the market as top talent is requesting it. Next slide, please. And that, I believe, wraps it all up with a couple minutes to spare for questions.
Thank you very much, Shea and Martina, for a really highly informative presentation. And I'll just add, you know, we have 6 sales reps here at GTM, and combined, they probably have about 50 to 100 conversations with business owners, you know, consistently, and they all talk about, you know, how hard it is to attract talent to their workforce. And so they have to, more than ever, you know, really think outside the box with some of these benefits that they're offering. And in ZayZoon, obviously, we feel, that's why we partner with you, is certainly a great solution for them. So thank you for you know, your remarks. So as far as some of the questions we got in the chat, can you explain how you recover your funds from employees that use your service?
Yeah, I'll take that. We actually have an API where as soon as an employee takes a payout on our app, we are communicating through the API direct and adding that as a deduction to the employee's next payroll. And so it just, there's nothing that the partner has to do. There's nothing that the business owner has to do. It actually goes as a deduction. And then on payday, we receive a payback for wages that were accessed.
Great. Another question we have is, are there specific industries, this is a great question, specific industries you find to use your services more than others?
I can take this one. So yeah, kind of as mentioned a couple slides back, we do find typically ones such as quick service restaurants, manufacturing, home health care, retail, to name a few, anything with high turnover or industries that they're struggling with, as you mentioned, keto recruitment and retention. But ultimately, because so many Americans live paycheck to paycheck, everyone could benefit from this, because, you know, there are those unexpected expenses that occur that you just are in a bind and you need cash today.
Great. We do have one more I see. It says, beyond productivity and retention, as you just mentioned, do you have examples of benefits that clients have seen as a result of adding on-demand pay?
Yeah, a couple quick examples. I actually just had a conversation with a client recently, and she did notice that the employees that use ZayZoon stayed with the company more, and they had very high turnover. They're a quick service restaurant. We also have noticed, and this might be more pertaining to specific industries, but it has been reduced till set. I had a client that she was noticing a lot of money going missing right before payday. As soon as that employee started using ZayZoon, what do you know, it disappeared. So those are just a couple quick stories of how it can impact your business immediately.
and on an administrative standpoint, adding an earned wage access solution is freeing up cash flow if you're a business that does do payday advances, lowers the administrative burden, and then also gives your employees, one of my biggest terms that I use all the time is employees want financial autonomy. They don't want to have to go to their boss or go to the business owner and say, I can't make it through to the next pay period. So they want to have, that financial autonomy to be able to make their own decisions. And so I think that's one of the biggest things, biggest impacts that I see when offering this sort of solution.
Yeah, I think, I guess one thing I would just add is, it's really hard to focus on your work when you have different stress levels, whether it's your child, a spouse, an ailing parent that you may be taking care of. So obviously financial impact is clearly a huge trigger. So anytime you can, provide your employees with that same day or next day pay, and again, this is for wages that have already been earned, so you're not loaning out this money. I think it's a great solution that's worth considering. So, that was the last question we had time for today. If we didn't get to your questions, we will reach back out to you momentarily. But again, I just want to thank you all for joining us today, especially Shea and Martina. Thank you for sharing your information with our clients. And now, if you are a GTM client and you're interested in signing up with ZayZoon, please feel free to reach out to your dedicated GTM account manager. They'll be able to answer any questions, and we'll be able to get you started right away. And also be on the lookout for an email later today with a link to download the slides, as well as a recording of today's presentation. But that's all we got for you today. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.